so casual. And yet he takes his hat off and, puts his stuff down and then he looks like.
I'm being restraining now. So don't tell his stories.
Don't, no more secrets, no more secrets.
Hi, Dean.
Again, on the other issue,
Yeah, so say no, couldn't put out there, I think I sent you a copy of it and have it come back. Oh, no, Booyah, I was thinking of something else.
Well, before that was,
you were waiting for that room.
I did, I reached out to him, he was here. His response about 2 weeks ago.
Hey, Mike.
Was that his client's out on vacation, and he's gonna get back to us, so I'll follow up again.
he burned out on
And then
that.
he was on vacation.
Maybe we ought to retract J Street and,
People's work, I work.
Yeah, this one is Carol.
Work for the bank, that's the other thing, never get in front of people's money for their job.
Yeah,
all right, Mayor, how you doing? Good.
that would work.
You back with me today?
I mean, it was a different, initial was a college job, and a lot of that.
Oh, okay. Oh, you happy?
I don't think I want
Trying to decipher these before you sign them.
a job.
I'm not having much luck. This one I could probably find.
Does,
Sometimes you have to combine a couple.
I know, that's what I think.
She got
That's what I was thinking.
That helps.
Oh, found this one.
Good enough to start.
You want me to do the roll call?
Yep, let's call the MLD corporate board meeting to order, and roll call, please.
Director Armstrong? Director Kelly?
Here.
Director Gibbs?
Here.
Director Ensel? Director McFarland? Director Moore?
Here,
Director Reed?
Here.
Manager Tracy?
yeah,
Distributed minutes from the previous meetings. Everybody have a chance to take a look at them? Yes. Resolve the minutes of the meetings of the PMLD board held on January 31st, 2019 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the MLD office.
So moved.
And second by me. Any discussion? Roll call?
Director Armstrong? Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs?
Yes.
Director Moore?
yes,
Director Reed?
Yes. Take it away, Mr. Tracy.
okay, if you flip over your packet there, you'll see the chart comparing our revenue and expenses for the last few years as of the end of April. Revenues, we're doing good on those. I'm keeping the expenses very tight there. And pretty much we're in good shape. The next page over shows actually what we got for kilowatt usage and money for the end of April and the year-to-date amounts that we have received for this year.
What does PPAC stand for?
Purchase power adjustment charge. And what that is when the Public Service Commission sets the rates, they also come up with a formula to calculate the PPAC. The PPAC is the difference between the actual bill and the rates. So that way you don't have to keep going back into them when the bills go up. So every electric utility in the state of New York has a PPAC charge.
How does your kilowatt hour, does it vary much from year to year?
The winters were high this year, but not as high as they've been in the past year. It depends, in the summertime, from probably March through till about usually 55 to 60 kilowatts. We don't really have a summer heating load here with air conditioning. It's the summer heat, it's not the summer heat, it's the winter heating that, where we start going up. And it depends how quickly it starts getting cold. Usually about November, it starts going up. December, then in January, February tends to be the cold, and it tends to start dropping off in March and April.
We were just asking some questions, you can take over, but asking questions on the financial report.
Hand me that gavel.
And then at the back of the package, we have what we've paid so far this year in Rex and Zex. And as you may expect, the Rex and Zex amount are paying a lot more this year than we did last year.
And next year, we'll be paying more,
Yes,
correct?
so we have 2% on the Zex. And it could go up more depending if they find out they don't have enough money. Plus, also sometime we've been told later this year,
ORECs.
ORECs are gonna come into play, and that's gonna be pretty expensive too.
Do we know what that percentage is?
We have no idea yet because it's still working it out.
But a good bulk of that's being paid, no, I guess only the PPAC. Does the Bitcoin people, do they pay just, if they're using 10% of the power, they pay about 10% of the Zex and Rex? Or do they pay a larger amount?
When we buy the supplemental power, they pay for the bulk of the supplemental. But the Rex and Zex is spread across,
Gotcha.
evenly across everybody.
Okay.
So will the ORECs. Which is the overseas renewable energy credits. You may or may not know that June of next year, Indian Point 2 has been shut down, and a year later, Indian Point 3 has been shut down.
I guess my question, Bill, and to go along with what Colin was saying, with the Rex and Zex, with the Bitcoin people, the percentage or the amount that they pay, is it the
It's
same
as
percentage
it's the same
as the
everybody else.
residential or other
Yes.
commercial?
Absolutely, yes it is.
But it's proportional to the amount of
It's
electricity.
okay. Bless you.
Now you recall.
But of course, it's also based on the amount of kilowatt hours used. So they use a whole lot of kilowatt hours, so they're gonna pay a whole lot more on those. But it's basically a kilowatt hour price.
I just, my question was if it's proportionally spread out
But they're
evenly
paying
across.
probably a bigger chunk because they use a lot more kilowatt hours than anybody else in the city.
Now you recall we passed earlier that for the supplemental power, we're now buying renewable energy for that. And then we're gonna get some sort of certification done
Mhm.
to verify that we're one of those 7 renewable energy communities. We're trying to make an argument that the Bitcoin operators, since they're the ones that cause us to have to buy more supplemental power, they should pay for the bulk of that cost as well. We don't know how successful that argument's going to be, but something we're trying to argue with the PSC through your NIMPA lawyer.
My understanding, there's a new Bitcoin operation that just opened up in the city. So,
There's another operation that is trying to get a building permit to open, but they haven't opened yet, it hasn't been granted. They're going through the planning boards and having a rough show of it at the county level so far.
In fact, we're gonna go, they haven't even bought the land yet. The land's still for sale.
But back to the Zex and Rex. So far in just the first quarter of 2019, or first third of 2019, we've already paid 100,000 higher than we did year to date in 2018.
We'll pay about $2.5 million by the end of this year.
That's
Across
fine.
the board. And by, if we go all the way out to 2030, we'll probably be paying around $4.5 million. And we don't really get any benefit from this at all.
Well, now we get Rex to be 100%.
Well, that's a different category.
Different category.
These are basically a tax.
Yeah.
So the state can entice developers to build this stuff.
From which we don't get any power from actually,
No.
because we could
And
already.
the ORECs, which we're gonna buy here sometime in the future, that's for offshore, off Long Island, off the Hamptons and Montauk Point, and that's strictly for, the New York City, Westchester County, because they're losing Indian Point.
And that's a nuclear facility, right?
Those are two, yeah, there's 2 nuclear, generators down there.
Now, Bill, when did we start paying Zex and Rex?
2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
We started in 2017.
And how Do you know the numbers on how much this, so far in 2019 for the public, we've spent $796,205.
We go with every year.
And that's $100,000 higher than 2018. How much is that, do you know how much that is higher than this year-to-date amount in 2017?
No idea. It's definitely higher.
But it's leading to people,
And it will continue to grow. And they reconcile every year, about April or May timeframe, start a reconciliation of the previous year. If they didn't collect enough money, they will come back for more money.
and it can lead to individuals seeing a substantial increase in their individual bill as well.
Yes, it will, especially, commercial and industrial. The more kilowatt hours you use, the more you're gonna pay into this.
And this leads to a lot of people in the winter, who, when they're using a lot of kilowatt hours, seeing their electric bill spike, especially for.
That's one of the
for
reasons, yes, and of course, the other reason too is, usage goes up considerably. I mean, in the residential community, they typically, when we get into the late spring, summer, early fall, they're usually about 7 million kilowatt hours, a month. But when you start getting into November, December, when it starts getting colder, that stuff starts ramping up. And if it gets really cold, like January, February, that 7 million jumps to 30 million kilowatt hours plus.
But what they don't consider is the fact, yes, they're using more electricity,
Well,
but the more
no.
electricity that they use, the more they're paying in Rex and Zex.
We get into the argument, well, we also get into the argument, I set my thermostat at 65, I'm not here today. Well, it doesn't really matter. You set your thermostat at 65, it's gonna call for heat whether you're there or not. And it's also a function of how cold it's outside. So I mean, it's one thing when it's 50 degrees, and it's another thing when it's 0, because now your heat has to work 2 or 3 times as harder, and it depends how well your house is insulated, whether you have lace curtains on the windows or heavy drapes on the windows, whether you got drafts coming in through underneath the doors and windows. All those things factor in. And where the thermostat is it on an interior wall or is it on the cold wall? So it does drive you up. And one person I talked to said their bill was a lot higher, they were complaining. Then they started telling me they were cooling their, or heating their cat houses outside. And I said, well, yes, that's gonna increase your power. Plus they got 2 or 3 electric heaters. They didn't think they used any power at all. I said, if you're at 1,500 watts, you're using 1,500 watts, you're using a lot of power per hour. So your bill is gonna be considerable. People don't think about those things.
And so we haven't taken attendance or anything yet, we were just.
Yes, we have,
we did.
you're absent at the moment.
Well, do point of order, Director McFarland and Director Armstrong are now present, as is Manager Tracy. So we'll start with item 1 on the agenda. Minutes from the previous meetings. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the PMLD Board held on January 31st, 2019 are approved and placed on file among the public records in the MLD office.
That's already been done.
It has.
Yes.
All right, where were
It
we?
was initiated by Councilor Kelly and seconded by Mayor Reed.
Perfect.
And we were through the financial, well, we didn't finish the financial report, right? You just need a motion to accept it. So moved.
Seconded?
Who seconded?
I'll
second.
Well,
Gibbs. Any further discussion on that point? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Director Armstrong,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Gibbs,
Yes.
Director Ansel,
Yes.
Director McFarland votes yes, Director Moore,
Yes.
and Director Reed.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Almost 2 minutes late, you guys keep doing some hustling, I guess.
That was a minute.
Number 3, departmental reports presented by MLD Manager William Tracy. I believe you've already started that.
The next couple pages, you go over, it shows work in progress. We've been pretty busy the last couple of months.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And I think it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part.
And I see here we have the Plattsburgh IEP project for 2019.
Right, that's where we are. I'm waiting on the city hall, install mini splits, I'm waiting for, Mr.
What's that?
Bissett. He's supposed to do some cost estimates on that, and once he gives me those, we'll tell people to proceed. And we're working on getting EV chargers, 5 dual ones installed at various lots. I have to sit down with the man on that, but I think I have a rough idea where we gotta go.
That's
those
interesting. I noticed there was
actually-
2 of those in the ICV parking lot too. I don't think those are city provided.
So that's it.
I think Jack Pillar had something to do with that, but,
Yeah, anybody can put them in if they want.
yeah.
And the IEP is helping to pay for the 240 volt.
The actual chargers, these ones particularly, are fairly inexpensive.
Right.
It's the ones that are gonna come out at the end of next year, and into 2021, and we're gonna be the real expensive ones. Those are the high-speed DC chargers. However, the cars that are out today and next model year, they're not gonna be compatible with those chargers. But anything, according to what I've read, 2021 and beyond, they will be. And those are high-speed chargers, they're gonna have their own transformer, and they're heavy power users. But supposedly, you can recharge battery to full, to 100% in 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh.
And the state is planning to put them along the thruway and all the interstates. So, plus the cars are theoretically supposed to be, the state has mandated they have to be able to go at least 200 to 300 miles before a charge. I don't know how that's gonna work out, but the chargers right now are in the prototype phase. They're expected November, December of next year to be commercially available. And the cars will come out, like I said, in the 2021 model year. However, the cars that you buy before that will not be compatible with those chargers. So you will need these chargers to still charge those, but I have a feeling people are gonna get rid of those cars, and they can get these, and then they have to wait 4 or 8 hours to charge their car, especially if they wanna travel a distance. And that would be I think that would be the first time that you could actually go somewhere in the state of New York at least, once they get all the chargers in place.
I think I mentioned too that IEP will also pay the difference between a gas vehicle and an electric vehicle if we buy some for our city fleet as well. And, you know, given that we're only 5.1 square miles, you can go an large number of days on a charge on an electric car in the city of Plattsburgh. So-
Yeah, I bought 2 several years ago, 2 Escapes that our metering department uses. And if you're used to seeing the mileage on the thing there, usually the city mileage is low, but the highway mileage is high. Well, on the electric cars, it's reversed. Yes, the city mileage, especially these are hybrids, the city mileage is high, and on the highway, these particular cars, the electric engines don't have the torque to provide speed to it around the gas engine all the time. But around the city, they get great mileage. I was kinda surprised that we didn't have to fill them up as often as their predecessors.
Don't we used to have some battery, similar to the battery-operated cars that they have at the college? There were 1 or 2, I thought maybe DPW or REC or somebody had, didn't we have some of those?
Do you recall?
Some city departments had those.
I think there's only 1 or 2 left out of DPW. There's a couple of been cannibalized for parts for the other ones. I don't know if we still use them or not, frankly.
Has there been any interest in putting Tesla superchargers in the city? I noticed there's quite a few up at the mall in the town.
The mall is regular charges as far as I know.
No, they're Tesla.
The Teslas, okay,
The,
I don't know if anybody has those.
From what I understand,
I've
when
seen
we
one or
met
two
with the
around.
NIMPA people, is that if it's on city property, for some reason, the city's not actually allowed to charge for the electricity. Whereas if it's on private property, like at the mall, they can charge for it. So since those superchargers use a lot of electricity, essentially the taxpayers of the city of Plattsburgh would be paying for that electricity. But I don't mind doing it on some of the street lots, because we're gonna put kiosks in there. People could presumably be paying for parking there, so they are they can contribute something towards the electrical costs. And the electrical costs, the ones you're talking about, these level 2 chargers, it's probably about 10 cents, 15 cents an hour. It's not exorbitant.
Yeah, I saw them
Sure
down
beats
in
gas.
Syracuse, the mall down there has them, and they were charging 49 cents a kilowatt hour, which is
Big profit.
a little
Yeah.
steep. But you had to be there a little over 2 hours, because you could only charge $1 is the lowest amount you could charge, so you had to be there at least 2 hours plus.
But we'll talk at some point about where we'd like to have a few strategically located in our city.
That way you spend more money in the mall too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably.
well, that's usually the idea too, but. The only other thing I have under this category is hydropower, as you know, right now it's sitting on the state register. The Power Authority is looking at for the end of June, hopefully they have it taken off the end register. Hopefully there's not many objections or complaints about it, at which point then the trustees will vote on it again. We assume they will approve it again, and at that point then it will go to the governor's office for signature. And then it will be sent out to the MUA for its membership to vote on it, and once they vote on it, then it will go out to the individual members for their different councils and boards to vote on it, and for the mayors to sign off on it. It will extend the hydropower then till 2040.
That's great.
Yeah, it's surprising, 3 sets of lawyers could actually resolve something in
Yeah.
less than a year. That was a shock.
Yeah, I still can't fathom it.
There's lawyer passion.
Oh,
Anyways,
he's doing it because he's there. No
anyways,
offense, Steve, Mayor.
is there anything else more in departmental reports, Manager Tracy?
Nope, that's it.
All right, then moving on to item number 4, monthly write-offs. 4A, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from November 2017 in the total amount of $1,669.05. The percentage of write-offs for this period is 0.13%. 4B, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from December 2017 in the amount of, I imagine these dates are wrong. Is it 2017 or are we talking 2018?
Oh, no, it's 2017, and now we're going into 2018.
Okay,
These dates are correct.
okay, perfect. In the total amount of $1,122.76. The percentage of write-offs for this period is 0.06%. 4C, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from January 2018 in the total amount of $1,679.08. The percentage of write-offs for this period is 0.06%. 4D, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from February 2018 in the amount of $7,773.09. The percentage write-offs for this period is 0.27%. 4E, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from March 2018 in the total amount of $6,663.47. The percentage of write-offs for this period is 0.25%. 4F, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from April 2018 in the total amount of $6,896.56. The percentage of write-offs for this period is 0.33%. And do I have a motion? Moved by Director Reed, seconded by Director Ansel.
I got a question, Bill. Do we have any knowledge as to why the amounts of the write-offs from February 18 through April of 18 are somewhat disproportionately higher than?
Yes, the winter rates. People, if their heat doesn't cover it, they try to procrastinate, and when they realize that they're gonna have to pay, a lot of them do a midnight move and disappear. Usually what happens is they move out into nicer country somewhere.
And pay more.
Rent out there, until they get in trouble with NYSEG out there for not paying their bills out there, and then they try to come back into the city and hope we forgot. These stay on their accounts, and usually we catch them when they try to come in for a new service.
I guess my question then, if they do move, I mean, you may or may not know this, if they move and they go to, as you say, NICEAG country, NICEAG doesn't do a credit check or reference or?
I don't know
as
what
to-
NICEAG does.
I mean, what about reversal if somebody,
We-
if they
we-
come
we-
here?
Oh, well,
Do we
the
do a?
ones that we know where they moved to, as long as they stayed within Clinton County and we have a good address, we take to court. And we get a judgment against them. The court then reports them to the credit bureaus. Now, just because they got reported to the credit bureaus doesn't mean they come running in. Sometimes they come running in 6, 7, 10 years after they got reported because they tried to buy something. And of course, the first thing that shows up with their credit report is derogatory information, and they gotta get rid of that, so then they come in. Not too happy about it usually, but you should pay your bills.
Or is there interest accrued?
Yes,
And I guess my next question is, in the situation where we have somebody applying, say, moving into an apartment and need to have their electricity turned on and so on, or put in their name, what sort of credit references do we run to, do we do any?
really don't. We typically look to see if they owe us anything, that's about it. I mean, we don't have very much on the residential customers. Now, we've had problems with them in the past, then we get a deposit for them. And if their payment is good for 1 year, then we have to return the deposit to them. If it's a commercial customer, it's good for 3 years.
Okay, so essentially, somebody could just move in and
Well, you know.
without any reference or whatever for.
Well, the problem also is with the way we have to follow the public service rules. The public service rules favor the public, they do not favor the utility.
Mm.
The idea is to protect the customers from the big bad utility. Unfortunately, there are some that will take advantage of that, and they do. I mean, if it's a married couple and the husband has run up a past bill, and the wife has, I think the wife can put the utility bill in her name.
Mhm.
There's nothing we can do about it. The PSC says we have to do that. She can run up the bill. And if they have a child over 18, and when she gets into trouble, they can pass it on to the next one. Some of them do that, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you wanna correct that, you need to get into the legislature. Because any changes to to these rules, but the Public Service Commission has to then be approved by both houses and signed by the governor.
Any further discussion on items number 4, on item number 4? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call. Director Armstrong,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Gibbs,
Yes.
Director Ansel,
Yes.
Director McFarland votes yes, Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Reed.
Yes.
And for Council Kelly, we do have the chart in your package, so.
All right.
That was
It's
it.
following the same pattern.
It was
as the
Same
insult
other-
pattern it
harass.
always is, right, Bill?
Mhm.
Thank you for doing that, though. Appreciate it.
Moving on to item number 5, bid requests. 5A, resolved. In accordance with the request therefore, the MLD Board approves MLD to advertise for bids for PMLD bid number 2019-6-1, Protection Alley Underground Rebuild. Bid opening date is July 16th, 2019 at 11 a.m. in the Common Council chambers. Do I have a
Okay,
motion?
so, I don't know, I apologize if I missed any backup information regarding this.
Oh, did you need a motion?
We need a
I'm
motion
sorry.
first and then we can
Sorry.
open
I'll make
discussion.
that motion.
I'll second it.
Director Kelly and Director Armstrong seconds. Any discussion on this?
Thank you. So, could you just describe it, or, you know, if I've missed it before, I apologize.
Right now, in Protection Alley, we have 3 transformers, 2 switches that clog up most of the main road through there. We're removing all of those, going to a single transformer and
Oh, okay.
single switch gear. It's gonna take like 2 months of construction because it's a slow process. We're gonna have to do it piecemeal because there's a lot of infrastructure in the ground, we found out back there.
Oh,
So, plus, we don't wanna have the houses, the apartments there without power for a considerable amount of time, so we have to do it piecemeal.
okay.
Hook them up to the new service, disconnect the next service, go on to the next one, so it's gonna take time. It's basically between, Margaret and Marion. We were gonna replace the power, pull it back so the alleyway is clear, and then we'll, as part of this project, we're also gonna put streetlights in back there.
Good idea.
Are the transformers going underground?
No, they're above ground.
They are,
Yeah, it's one transformer,
just one rather than three?
rather than three.
Okay.
But it's
Putting
not-
them underground is quite expensive.
That's what I hear, and it's also kinda dangerous if water collects and,
Well, that's why you gotta buy specialized transformers, they cost like $100,000,
yeah,
because they have to be capable, be submerged. Also, then you have to put ventilation in, and
right,
there's all kinds of other requirements.
okay,
It's a costly procedure.
I understand.
And then after we've done that, then, I believe that MLD is, not MLD, DPW is gonna come in and do paving and sidewalks. Finish that up.
Okay,
And this is only gonna be between Margaret and Marion, it's not gonna go all the way to Oak?
Just that one stretch.
Okay.
It runs into Trinity Church.
Sorry, what's the location of the new server? Where you're consolidating everything?
We're putting it in, off the street there, on that side street.
Oh, right next to the monopole?
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to have a substation there, and actually, where we're putting it is MLD property.
Cool.
So we're gonna put both units there, and fence that whole area in,
Cool.
so they can put, signs and whatever everything else they glued up to those transformers over the years.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but, we did check, and it's still showing on the tax map, just a little MLD.
Cool. Thank you.
So we should, we have the bid opening in July, give me a couple of weeks, we should be finished by sometime mid-October, I would guess. It just depends how slow the process is for digging.
what kind of street lights are you gonna put in there?
I'm putting the antique ones.
Oh, like we have elsewhere in the
Yeah,
city?
these will be the LED version.
Great.
Okay, excellent.
And there'll be curbs for the sidewalks too?
That'll be the
That's
DPW
that,
side, they're doing the engineering for that,
Okay.
and doing that this summer as well, after this work is completed.
Now, Bill, does MLD have any other plans to consolidate transformers anywhere else in the city?
No, just that one location. That project alone will probably cost about $500,000.
Wow.
Sounds about right. Those transformers are humongous.
Mhm.
Any further discussion on this point? Hearing none, we'll move to roll call. Director Armstrong,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Gibbs,
Yes.
Director Ansel.
Yes.
Director McFarland votes yes. Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Reed.
Yes.
Action is adopted. Moving on to item number 6, old business. Bill, there's one thing of old business, I know we've discussed it at council meetings, but this is our first, MLD meeting since, I believe, January, January 31st. Would you mind giving members of the public a quick update on, Rider A and how it worked?
Oh, it worked very well. The rest of the public paid probably between 6 and 8/10 of a cent, which is normally what they pay, and normally is. The Bitcoin people paid a lot more.
And how much did the Bitcoin people pay?
Well, there's something I can't talk about, we're gonna have to go into an executive session if we wanna get really detailed.
I don't think we need to get really detailed,
Yes.
but okay, we'll take that as,
There's some legal going on at this point, so.
How much additional power did we end up having to buy?
We had to buy in December, I don't know offhand the numbers, but we had to buy in December, which was unusual. It was a cold December. We had to buy in January, we had to buy in February.
we didn't have to buy in March at all.
No.
Any, I'm sorry?
That's right, she was just putting her cup down.
Any other old business any director would like to bring up? And moving on to item number 7, new business. Any takers on new business? I'd like to just bring up, the mayor's, 58, point, energy plan. One thing I noticed, about it, and that I think is certainly important for the city to focus on, is that, we've gotten cheap electricity for a long time, some of the cheapest electricity in the country. And what that's led to is the city is not very, energy efficient, as the IEP, points out and is addressing. I do think that in the future, that to maintain our comparative advantage for cheap energy costs, we should certainly also be always thinking of ways to incentivize becoming more energy efficient. Certainly in the city, most homes are using electric heat. They don't invest in a lot of insulation, weather stripping, other forms of making sure that we're not wasting energy.
Actually, that's the least of the problems.
What's the biggest problem?
The biggest problem is, when it's a warm day out and they got the electric heat on, they just open the windows.
So yeah.
And so they heat the north country. But that is a problem with a lot of people. I had a discussion 2 years ago with an individual. They had created a smoking room for her husband. She turned the heat off of that room, and she had a window-mounted fan in there all year round, winter included. And she told me, yes, the room gets very cold. I told her, that's why your electric bills are going up, because the heat is going through the walls and being sucked into that room. And she said, no, that's not happening. My door is closed, my walls are insulated. I tried to explain to her, interior walls are not insulated, it's your exterior walls that are insulated. And having a window fan and the window 2/3 open all year round, you're going, but she will listen, and as far as I know, it's still that way today.
Yeah, so education, any of these little things that are like a lot of, where price points would cause people to be, sort of inventive on these things, I think people have kind of ignored in the city of Plattsburgh. And we can figure out ways to, incentivize, to educate, and ways to make sure that we're using our energy more efficiently, we'll certainly have, more ability to not go over our quota, and to have, to make sure that the city in general, stays within our, quota range, and that we can certainly even consider expanding, and bringing in new businesses that can, take up energy.
Well, the only time you go really over your quota is in the winter. So hope for global warming. That's the only way.
Did you hear that, Michelle?
No.
Now, we've had a couple of winters in the last couple of years that it was warm, and we have stayed well within the quota. 2016 comes to mind off that, and there was another one in there too. That's the only time. You get these real cold winters, everybody turns on their heat, and they turn it up. I don't know how you're gonna change that.
I hate being cold.
Yeah,
They
well,
hate
so does
it.
a lot of other people too, so, yeah, it's epidemic, what can I say?
Is there any,
But, we can't, penalties are not permitted under the Public Service Commission, so you can't really charge an extra for
Too
using
bad.
or abusing, unfortunately. But, I don't know if some of you will ever change. They've always lived that way here, well, in the city, and I don't think they're gonna change their ways.
It's a pretty inexpensive luxury.
Well, people get accustomed to things. I mean,
Sure.
a few years ago, for example, I don't know if you were counselor then, up on Route 9 there at South Platte, they took the green arrow out because they said there was not enough justification to have it there. 2 weeks after it was taken out, when they reconstructed it, we had to put it back in, because every time somebody saw a green light, they thought they had an exclusive turn, and they were turning in front of traffic. Fortunately, there was no accidents, but there was a lot of close calls. And I got called from the mayor at the time, I think it was Stewart, and I had to get that green arrow back in, and it's been there ever since. But people get accustomed, and they won't change in many cases,
That's right.
unless, I think it's when their pocketbook is.
That's right. As long as it's cheap, why not?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
We see that in a lot of areas here, I'm sure.
Sure you do.
Any other new business any director would like to discuss? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8. Persons addressing the board. Now's the time for any member of the public, if they would like to come address the MLD board, please do. Yeah, sometimes we get a few. It doesn't look like today there's gonna be any bites, so, if that's the, there's no persons wishing to address the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Director Ansel. Any seconds?
I'll second that.
Director Gibbs. Roll call. Director Armstrong.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Gibbs.
Yes.
Director Ansel.
Yes.
Director McFarland votes yes. Director Moore.
Yes.
Director Reed.
Yes.
And so this meeting is adjourned. It's 5:09 PM.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go, here we go. Gavel down.
Then let us begin for our work session tonight. Is there anybody who'd like to have any additional time, and extended discussion on any items on the agenda tonight?
Is there a need to go into executive session?
No, it's from our end.
Want to discuss that news
Yeah,
today, we can.
yeah, that's what,
With
The decision from
the
the.
decision.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation.
second,
I'll second that.
Councilor Ansel, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Well, I guess you'll tell me there.
Lucky me, huh? Good. How's he doing? Which time?
He's doing it here?
Yeah, I emailed you. He did that, so.
I mean, I think it just takes a lot of, people are inherently lazy, and unless they have a certain amount of energy for something, it's easier to complain on, let's say, social media than just ever show up to these meetings. But you see, you would have how many people complain about their electric rates,
All
but
this time to work on it.
don't want to show up to these, even though it's the whole point of these meetings is for the public. I think they need to wait till they get, something has to happen to get the energy back up, and now it's, I mean,
Did they sign it? All?
One signature.
Well, he signed these, but sometimes that doesn't mean he's ready.
Yeah.
I have access.
Take your time.
Skyping worked yesterday.
Oh, did it?
It was a little rough. but-
Oh, that's right, somebody told me that, but I think it's where it's his connection.
I,
It's
well, it's
not-
not, yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, it's not ours.
Yeah, I mean, we have the top ones.
Oh, well, it's not.
No, I know,
it's just-
I know, but-
I can tell when,
Yeah.
that's what happened with Michelle.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
her.
yeah.
They say how long that might be an executive session,
There's never.
Get that.
but they're particularly loud by these mics tonight.
I did,
Yeah.
maybe somebody.
Well, they
turned-
have, I don't
So we-
know,
No,
somebody
they don't.
Cranked it up
brought
yesterday
it,
because we couldn't hear.
huh?
It's all right.
We raised the volume because we couldn't hear.
Oh, maybe that's why, cause it's like, they, you know, cause I've got the headset.
Yeah.
They put the papers down, and I'm like,
But what couldn't you hear?
Oh, it was just, when he was talking at first, it was a little quiet, so Shalice, I believe.
Yeah, but that doesn't do anything.
It sounded,
Yeah, no,
we
you
heard
know
him
what I'm
better.
saying?
Yeah, so at least it.
Because it's only if she touches the speaker.
I think
Like,
she is.
these mics are just the.
No, I think she did touch this.
Yeah, but these mics are run
Oh,
by
I see what you're
different,
saying.
they're not, they're run by the, what's that called,
I think I know on the IT part.
ah, yeah,
Well,
well,
she
and
turned
then,
that, she just has to turn it by the speaker if you ever do it again. And they'll notes.
Well, she did it right,
Yeah.
however.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
hear.
We could
And
hear.
what I'm recording
Yeah,
with these mics here, they don't think about them being there on the table, and they'll put their papers on top of them.
I'll go look at the
No
levels.
consideration.
Somebody might turn up the levels up there.
I mean, it's true.
Then it's hard when you're trying to hear it on the recording, cause it's really, almost distorted.
They need more, what do they call it? Situational awareness. Those things are there. Yeah, I mean, if you're focused on certain conversations, it's not gonna be all of these. Yeah. Going through a document of some kind and focused on that. You're not gonna pay attention to that.
So they need.
They actually have kind of mics, they're bigger than that, they're like professional mics on a gooseneck. And so the mayor calls on each council, and they have to pull the mic forward and turn it on, or they're not heard at all.
The mayor pulled me home. He also demanded that I be in the mayor's office at 8 o'clock the next morning with him. So he could have me shoot out from the mayor. Well, the mayor told me about that part, but that's.
Discussions out here sometimes, because it's a little bit more free form.
Okay.
So sometimes
So,
that's
so
more,
do I need to be in office?
fun.
No. The person that needs to be there is gonna show up anyhow. I will deal with it. And he got him shut down. After that, he never talked to me again. No.
I wonder if it's just gonna be us since the release came out so late.
You wanna go and talk to him?
Joe's actually ready that
So,
stuff about the annexation.
Hmm.
So I have to grab the stuff.
No, you're good. Or where should we?
Executive session.
Just, talking all secret stuff.
The city did. They want it, like, it's on.
No, this is special. You know transmission.
Yeah, that's huge. It's great news. It is phenomenal.
Like the thousands, yeah.
I don't know, we talked about it.
We
We
did
were
it
downstairs.
for Bailey Avenue, not Bailey, Almilla Road
So
there.
they're gonna be,
I had
so,
no 4 or 5.
because they're all super secret. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but,
I didn't hear it.
so that, I don't know if that's
State
really,
of New York.
I'm sure it's related.
The DOT paid for it, because they wanted to.
Did the thing for
I don't know exactly, so essentially, just, maybe us and ten.
Coming across the side yard.
I think it also helped because
And basically, the side yard. that
they
used-
said
Well, we
the
had.
plans are still.
We had to
vague,
ship
it's
the
really
poles.
more.
All those guys disappeared.
So, all that stuff.
I called them and said,
They didn't, I
"These
guess,
guys out here pulling all those guidelines that have been there for years."
that's huge news.
You
They're
called
all
me.
active. So,
I said, "We have a pole
I
line."
think next week they're bringing forward.
I didn't realize he was living there. I said, "You're a beneficiary." Like, thank the DOT, they wanted that pole line moved.
I guess.
They paid to move it. You benefited because that was pole line.
Well, maybe it's.
Guidelines that went somewhere else. So it's not your side yard, you know.
I'm sure I've seen you. No.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You been running first day, or is
It's not gonna be too exciting. From what I can tell. Yeah, we talked about.
Hi. Feel like I just got caught by the teacher.
I was just fixing the chair, wasn't I?
Oh my goodness.
What did you have too much fun last night? What did you do tonight?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I didn't say never leave City Hall. That's my goal. It's just to be here all the time.
we're gonna get cots. We're gonna convert, we're actually gonna all move into their office and we're gonna convert Max into like this like cool highway.
Yeah. They're just talking.
Question for you.
Council change the benefits a bit.
We have plenty of space.
What
That's
is-
where
what
it's
is-
the space to spread. We have this down here too. Yeah, this whole office that.
If I could just give you a note, they can put your records of council here.
Yes.
Email.
One more.
No, just email me.
The TV that we have on.
Or if you don't give it to me, I'll put it whenever you send it to me. There's nothing in writing.
That's fine with me, I'm willing to abide by
That
that,
would be-
everybody else is too.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll email you officially.
Yeah, I think.
God, I wish I was.
I guess so.
Alright, but this is real, is this person actual, you know?
Fact check everything.
My son's on, now that's
Always
leaving
been
tomorrow,
that
but
way.
tomorrow he gets.
Yeah.
Carpet month.
I mean, you gotta
Yeah,
fact
so
check the fact
once-
check.
Yeah, he's not getting packed, is out of my house. I'll be able to, and my husband's
Is
not
this a
gonna
real
work.
place that I can
I'll
actually
be
get a
like,
factor?
watch this, I'm helping my son organize.
Exactly. There's like two different kinds of parents. There's the ones that are like, you always have a home here. The other ones like, get out. Take your stuff and leave.
They always have a home here, but not like going in every room of my house. Like, you can't just keep it in your room. But no, we can't, because he's right out over there.
I was
And the
happy.
other, as soon as that, our cousin
Basically
came over
around
and
me.
got their own house, I'm like, hey, here you go, here's your bin. Every bin's over, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, this is all your stuff.
Trying to get rid of stuff we have in their actual, the house, like breaking the house.
Well, we went through all this, our son went through all his books because Colin is that age now where he.
I'm sorry, man, there's a closed council session going on there right now, the public meeting will reconvene.
So anyway, we went through all his books and stuff because Colin's in reading.
So there's
so he
a
wants to
agenda
read
here.
stuff. So,
Bring you in.
huh? Yeah. So, we went through all this and he's like, I don't want to do this.
Is this the first book I've read?
I remember once crying, I was trying to throw away an old pair of shoes. I was like, I don't know. Like, and I was just like, I had such a good time.
Well, I went out of the room because I was trying to see either keep him on back. So I come back in and just constantly sitting there looking at him. You don't realize how emotional training this is for. It's like, you just gave us names for your nephew.
Yeah.
But they'll send me across.
He's in.
Right in there, any of these when he's done with them, bring them back and we can storm this.
Channel 3, Union City, plan to pick a remark Republican fundraiser. It features former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
Well, then I call him and speak about him. So I brought him out. He's too small, and I thought he was really gonna pick up after. So, I'm handing Colin both my card. Colin went through his books and he wanted to ask his time. He's 23. He reads them, he's a little like, he doesn't need these books. And he's like, I'm like, look at his face. He's responsive. I was like, why are you?
So that's
I'm
what
like,
we're
cause
doing.
he loves his books, so we're.
How are you doing? Is he looking forward to school and school year?
Yeah, they're excited, they have a lot of, they do a lot of stuff, they
Either
come to
that
our
or
house.
to do something
Swimming,
that, yeah, pull off with it, but I don't want to.
I didn't know you were,
I'm not-
okay.
I'm not-
Yeah, for some reason I forgot that, but now I remember.
Not a city resident.
But I own two homes, I own a home and a different, my husband owns a different.
Yeah, okay.
He's built it.
Trying to call, yeah, trying to call. I'm not here, you're laying on the law, okay.
I think that's, oh my goodness.
Did you just like go and like cut something?
And I was like, yeah.
It's our long meeting tonight, so we
I can't see.
You're wiping away these years of time. No, I should. Take the gas off. Pause the screen. Put it on like mute.
It's supposed to be your own like accidentally or purposely.
I mean, I think it's only down. You're at the peak.
These people would only show up for 7 o'clock. They wouldn't come back until the end of the day to.
Oh yeah, nothing like that. Nothing serious. Like, oh my god.
When they left, eventually, they figured out where it was coming from, the project, and they fled back in. And, Mike McCullough. His wife is the vice president. Yeah, well, he does stuff off every day, say hello in the morning, and then go for another job. Not just like his doing all of it. Because they have so many jobs, and they're all working simultaneously, they couldn't stick with jobs. So they couldn't keep an eye on what's going on. In this case, he was doing dry removals, they determined that he was lacking in advancing now, and was just bringing a trash bag.
Actually, let me get out, 'cause I'm leaving.
I am not missing my child's
Play tonight.
We're all here. Well, we're just returning from executive session on a matter of potential litigation. No decisions were made during the executive session. Let's begin our common council meeting with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Counselor Armstrong?
Here.
Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Counselor Gibbs? Counselor Ensel?
Here.
Counselor McFarland?
Here.
Counselor Moore?
Here.
Just a couple of comments. First of all, I have a proclamation here. Many of you know that all across the North Country, people reflected on Memorial Day just a few days ago. And Ms. Lewis and her granddaughter were there to make us aware of the significance of the poppy. I'd like to offer a proclamation on behalf of her good work to raise the in our conscious significance of the poppy and to raise money on behalf of veterans as well. So I've got a proclamation to read. Whereas the poppy is a memorial flower for the American war dead, is a tradition which began in the years following the First World War. And whereas veterans returning to their homes in this country after World War I remembered the wild poppies which lined the devastated battlefields of France and Flanders Field. And whereas the poppy is a symbol of hope for all veterans who served this great country through military service, and whereas the American Legion Auxiliary adopted the poppy as its memorial flower to pay tribute to the war dead and aid the living veterans and their families, now therefore I, Colin L. Reed, Mayor of the City of Plattsburgh, New York, do proclaim May 30th, 2019 as Poppy Days and urge all citizens to pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy on these days. So please come forward, and I'd like to give this to you in person, and please keep up all the wonderful work. How many years have you been doing this now?
I believe this is my 4th year, so.
So the official National Poppy Day was last Friday, of course, this is the first meeting we've had since then, so I'd like to give this to you. And if you want to turn around, you can have your picture taken as well with it. Drop your name on it as well.
Yeah.
Nice. So thank you for Please continue.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on May 23rd, 2019 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the City Clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the City of Plattsburgh for the week ending May 29th, 2019 in the amount of $87,076.63 are authorized and allowed
and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly and second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Are you all enjoying Beth's new voice? Let's do some reports. You've got the regular reports in your packet. Let's have additional reports, beginning with governance strategy and city operations. Councilor Armstrong.
Thank you. Our meeting will be next week, and I'll be sending Beth an email publishing items we'd like to discuss for the agenda. But I spoke with Patrick, and we decided some things. We would like to hear about the latest developments with regard to the Saranac River Trail, the DRI, the campaign for community engagement, and any plans for the webpage, and how planning for the summer events is going. That's so far. Okay?
Perfect.
Just a little heads up.
The
Mr.
beach too,
Matthews.
why not?
Good idea. Mr. Matthews will update you on, we just had a press conference a little bit earlier today to announce the Mayor's Cup events too, so.
Yeah, and I was hoping that either your office or I could as well would write a little press release advertising the agenda for the committee specifically, just because of, you know, whatever information is exchanged about the DRI. I think that little extra announcement might benefit the public. Hey, it should be, you know, be short and sweet. Thank you.
City infrastructure, Councilor Moore.
Well, you can see that we're finally getting some paving done, and the weather's turned for the better, so that's great. Hope everybody enjoys
It's so
the new road.
nice. It's beautiful, smooth ride. Very good.
Ms. Delisle was asking about that just a few moments ago. They're going to do the last section tonight, I believe starting at 3 a.m. so they can be done by time business begins tomorrow morning. They've been, of course, delayed a little bit this week because
Yes, the
of
quarry was in full operation overnight last night.
Whoa.
Did you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing the rate that they can do those roads. I was up there for a few hours last night. If you get a chance at 4 in the morning, I might see you there this
Well,
morning.
I was surprised they striped as well. I didn't realize that was
Yeah.
gonna happen simultaneously.
And 80% of the personnel there, 90% of the personnel are all DPW workers. They've just done an incredible job. And of course, the big machine that we use a skilled company to come and do that part, but all the support work is being done by DPW. Finance and Budget, Councilor Kelly.
Well, tonight is the night we vote on our 5-year plan, which is mandated by the charter to be done by June 1st of each year. The importance of this is that we turn this over to the mayor as soon as we're done, and he starts to craft the 2020 budget for the city with the help of his department heads. So looking forward to that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it when the resolution comes up.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilor Gibbs. Oops, I'm sorry. Public Library, Councilor Ansel.
No report. I don't know if Councilor
I
Armstrong, did
didn't.
you get a chance to attend?
No,
And MLD Board President, Councilor McFarland.
Yes, we just had our first MLD meeting since January 31st. It's very exciting. I noticed there's a lot of people in the public now, but they weren't here during the MLD meeting, so I suggest you watch the YouTube video and you'll realize what a big mistake that was.
Resolves reports, solicitor are hereby ordered to receive any written reports are placed on file among the public records clerk's office. Moved by Councilor Ansel, second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. No correspondences or recommendations from boards at this time.
Resolved that the bills audited by the common council for the week ending May 31st, 2019 in the amount of $2,571,994.18 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Moore. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Got a relatively routine agenda tonight. Does any members from the public like to please come and comment on issues on the agenda? Please come forward now. There will be another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well. Seeing none, let's continue.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the Clinton County Canine Club to use portions of the U.S. Oval every Monday from June 24th through August 28th, 2019, from 5 to 8:30 p.m. for canine training classes.
Moved by Counselor Ansel, second by Counselor Kelly. They're really human training classes. Thank you. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to check and make sure that there is, rules in place for pickup.
Presumably, huh?
I believe there are. I actually took my dog to it last year. I don't recall any problems with that. They meet in a small little section over by the memorial, and they're pretty diligent. And all the dogs are leashed and they're active. And
Oh, I
everything,
guess.
so.
Raised a point.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ansel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves adjusting City of Plattsburgh street inventory due to a request from the New York State Department of Transportation as follows. Increase the overall length of South Platt Street from 0.3 mile to 0.4 mile. Decrease the overall length of Elizabeth Street from 0.35 mile to 0.25 mile.
Moved by Counselor Kelly and second by Counselor Ansel. Discussion?
Yes. What is this? Yeah. Why would we be exchanging 0.10 miles of Elizabeth Street for South Platt Street?
I'm pretty sure 0.1 miles didn't go from Elizabeth Street down to South Platte or vice versa. Just a technical surveying correction, I believe.
So I think, and also for our CHIPS funding, we have to have it accurate, so this might have been revealed with some kind of audit or review of the actual mileage.
So no signs are changing or anything?
No, it was just a correction.
Okay.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ansel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh has prepared and approved a 5-year budget plan commencing on January 1st, 2020, which will be presented to the mayor of the City of Plattsburgh for use in preparing the 2020 mayor's budget.
Moved by Counselor Kelly, second by Counselor Armstrong. Discussion?
I have a slideshow I'd like to show, if everyone's okay with that. I think all of you have seen it in email, but if you have any other questions or concerns, please bring it forward.
And as we bring that up, just to understand the process, the charter requires us to, the council actually, to produce a 5-year plan by June 1st of every year. You've been doing it pretty religiously for the last couple of years, and it's been very helpful to me to frame my budget based on that.
Bill, could you turn down the lights?
Okay, looks like it's me.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I got my password right.
Not on me.
I want to go here,
It's not safe.
I want to go, let's see. You might have to help me here, Beth.
If you just type in there drive,
Oh, here.
drive.google.com, I think you're looking for the
Okay.
Google Drive, I bet, huh?
I think I did find it.
If you look at my drive, probably what my
a month now, we've been talking about the city's 5-year budget plan. And tonight, we're ready to vote on it. The council's received numerous copies of this slideshow as it developed, and also the 5-year plan itself. So, the council's accomplishment so far is that we agreed on the budget plan's underlying assumptions. That was done early in the month. We agreed on a rate of inflation, which is 3.15%. If there are any economists in the audience tonight, you will note that that is higher than the current rate of inflation. Current rate of inflation is about 2%. We add 1.15% for the additional costs that we believe will be incurred for health care. Our property tax base increase this year was estimated to be an average of 4.30%. There are some members of the audience who probably got a higher bill than that. There are some members of the audience who got a lower bill than that. So the average is 4.3%. And I'd like to add that the city, in order to meet the tax cap this year, will have a new formula. The formula will have a negative rate of increase. We'll see what that adds up to, but it's the council's intention and the city's intention to stay below the state tax cap again this year. We have no new bonding until 2023, so the rate stays at the 2018 level. Other things we've accomplished with our plan is that we will continue to monitor healthcare expenses, overtime costs, and arbitration costs. We will promote revenue opportunities such as the DRI and other citywide construction projects. Our ban interest, that's a bank anticipation note, should remain between 1.5 and 2%. Any questions about that? Okay. Here are our assumptions that we made up front as we started to develop our plan. The cost and value. We will deliver the best service for the lowest cost to our taxpayers. We will create balanced budgets. We will increase the unassigned fund balance steadily over the next few years. And last but not least, sustainability. We will create budgets that are sustainable for many years to come. So how have we done at meeting our assumptions in the area of cost and value? Our tax rate compares favorably with services. For the last couple of years, we've been able to remain under the state mandated tax cap, which I know taxpayers are grateful for. And we've also managed to increase some services, such as paving roads, for example. We've paved a lot more roads in the last few years than we have in previous years, so I think we're looking pretty good on that. Operating expenses are expected to go lower next year than they are this year for a number of reasons. We've flattened the taxpayer roller coaster so that, at least in the near term, we will not see any large tax increases like we've seen in the city in the past. So that's a real accomplishment on the part of the previous council and this council to make that happen. And our tax rates are at or below the expected tax cap. So that's cost and value. Next is structural balance. Our expenses have been brought into line with revenue so that deficit spending has ended at least until the year 2023. Now, I'm concerned about that. I don't want to leave a legacy of tax deficits for the succeeding councils. So we as a council must work very hard over the next couple of years to see if we can increase revenue while decreasing spending. I've talked before about how It cost about 3.15%, we think, extra each year to run the city. Tax rate's about 2%. And that's really only a 1% increase in revenue because the tax rate is half our revenue. The other half is flat, has been for years, hasn't changed. So the money we bring in for taxes only amounts to a 1% increase if we have a 2% tax increase. So that discrepancy, 3% expenses, 1% revenue, is always going to be a problem for us. We have to recognize that and continue to find ways to do both growth and continue to hold the line on expenses. And you know, where we stand today, I couldn't be happier. We're doing both of those things. Some great opportunities are coming our way in the revenue area also, which is a first in my tenure as a counselor. Really excited about it. Our other assumptions, one is unassigned fund balance growth. We have a council goal, which we passed as a resolution a couple years ago, to increase our fund balance to somewhere between 5 and 10%. And we will reach that goal in 2020, happy to say. And then our fund balance continues to build until 2023. As I mentioned before, that's the point in time at which we're gonna have difficulty balancing our budget unless we manage to have a lot of revenue growth. Okay, and finally, sustainability. Deficit spending's ended for now. We've managed to create a fund balance now for the past 2 years, and looks like we're gonna do the same again this year. Our unassigned fund balance is improving, but our expenses will outstrip revenue by 2023 if we want to remain under the tax cap each year, which I think this council is in favor of doing. So, I gave us a grade just like I did last year. How are we doing on our assumptions? And cost and value, I think we get an A. Structural balance, A. Unassigned fund balance growth, I'd like to see more money in our unassigned fund balance. So I gave us a B minus there. I gave us a B plus last year. So I'd like for us to continue to try to work hard if we can to increase our fund balance. It would be nice to have a fund balance at least at the 10% mark that we voted, and it could even go higher. Sustainability, I gave us a C plus. Last year I gave us a B minus, but I'd like to see if we can't do something about that 2023 target date and do something that keeps us sustainable far off into the future. So we're going to work hard on both, again, revenue and cutting expenses. Any questions? Anybody want to challenge your grade? Okay.
I get enough of that.
I know you do. Okay. So I want to thank the City Council, Chamberlain Marks, all of our department heads, and Mayor Reed for working so hard to balance our budgets. We'll pass our 5-year plan tonight, hopefully, and pass it on to Mayor Reed to help him prepare the 2020 mayor's budget. And if you would like, I can throw the spreadsheet up on the screen for you.
The audience might like that. don't have to do it then.
Okay, no, that's a PDF. I don't wanna show you that. I wanna
You
show
just
you
did.
the real thing. Okay, so if you look at the 2020 column here, I do have the right one, okay. So if we look at the 2020 column, which is here, you can see all of our assumptions there: 3.15% expenses inflation, 4.3% increase in the property tax base. I alluded earlier to a negative tax rate to offset that large increase in assessments that we had this year. You'll see that down on line 35. We should be looking at a negative 1.8% tax increase, which is actually a tax decrease this year. That formula will keep us under the state tax cap, we believe, at this point. Let's see, you can see our revenue, and down at the bottom line is what we probably should be paying attention to. That's really where all the challenge is. See if I can get you down there. Whoops, nope, that's not gonna get you down there. Sorry about that. There we go. For the year of 2020, what we are expecting and hoping that the city can do is reduce expenses by a total of $900,000. And it sounds like a lot of money, but we believe that attrition can handle most, if not all, of that. So then the next year in 2021, we're looking for the city to cut an additional $850,000 in expenses, and that's going to be the challenging one. 2021 is going to be a challenging year, I suspect. So we're going to have to work very hard together to help the city achieve those savings in any way we can. We talked about shared services. Some of our services we provide to our taxpayers don't pay for themselves. So perhaps we can find ways to have partners join us, other taxing entities, private business, nonprofit groups, any of those folks can be tapped to help us. So one thing that Councilor Armstrong is in favor of, also on the revenue side, is to set up a thing called curb fees, where we charge non-tax-paying entities in the city some amount of money to help out with the cost of operating the city. So those are all things we're going to talk about. Then as we go into subsequent years, you can see that 2022 we dropped to $500,000 in cuts, and then 2023 we're down to $150,000. By that time we feel like we've done about all the cutting we can, so we'll have to look for efficiencies in other ways. The reason that 2023 is a concern to me is right down on line 46 here. You can see that year we end up with a deficit, and that'll be the first time in several years that we end up with a deficit. So we still have a positive fund balance. The number just below that, $1,476,000, represents a positive fund balance, and it's within the council's 5 to 10% fund balance range. So that's a good thing, but we certainly don't want that trend of negative fund balances, and you can see that it continues off into the future there. We're out here around 2027 or so, we end up with a deficit that we can't recover from.
Mike, does that have any assumptions for any revenue increases beside taxes?
Good question. It does not. It does not. We don't anticipate, the amount of money that we receive from the state of New York, for example, has been flat for years and years, and I don't expect it's gonna go up. But
I'm just looking at other potential.
as far as tax growth, our tax base, there's a 0.54% increase that's built in each of those years. And the way that we win this battle, I think, is to increase that 0.54 to 2%, 3%. If we can achieve that kind of growth, if we can make Plattsburgh such a desirable place to live and work and locate your business, that we have people knocking on the door to get here, that would be a nice situation to have face us. There'd be a whole new set of problems, but they'd be really good problems. So something we'd look forward to. So if we can get that 0.54% rate growth up to 2.5, let's say, we're going to be in good shape going forward. By then we will have an efficient government. We will cut all the expenses we possibly can, I believe, and that growth then we accomplish, we enjoy, can be used only to make the city better, and to help us keep that budget balance going forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody have any other questions, concerns, glaring errors? Let me just say that last year's 5-year plan was altered a couple times when we discovered there were new expenses that we had accounted for. So that could happen again. We may need to review this, midsummer, fall, after the mayor passes his budget. Next year, when Chamberlain Marks gives us the numbers for 2019, we'll plug those in and see what we got. So, any questions or concerns? Are you ready to vote on it?
Yes.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the time, everyone. I certainly appreciate all the help you and others have given me to make this happen.
Thank you, Mike, for all your work.
My pleasure.
There's no further discussion, roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves Counselor Armstrong along with friends of former Counselor Becky Casper to prepare and plant the flower bed in her honor on the traffic circle named Casper Circle located on US Avenue on June 1st and June 8th, 2019.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion.
Yes, we're gonna be meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock if anybody wants to help out.
Tomorrow or Saturday?
Sorry, Saturday, yes. Retired person's timeline is really weird. But anyway, yes, Saturday at 9, if you would like to help out, we'll probably be there a couple hours to prepare the bed.
And should note that we decided to just do a circular
Yeah, so
plot.
we're thinking about mowing and future maintenance, so we made just a ring around the existing landscaping. And then the following weekend, the 8th, Saturday the 8th, 9 till probably more like 12.
Thank you. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Beth, I'd like to waive the reading on the next two items, E and F, and move to resolution on both.
Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Discussion on the item itself, items themselves?
you can read these and know what most of them are talking about. They were discussed at the MLD board meeting, so if you have other questions, you can review that as well online.
Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Renzel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing discontinuance of property assessment case filed by Primax Properties LLC, care of Dollar General. Whereas Primax Properties LLC, care of Dollar General, filed Article 7 real property assessment review cases against the city, challenging the 2014 to 2018 assessments on real property located at 2989 South Catherine Street, Plattsburgh, New York. Tax map parcel number 221.7-1-41. And whereas Primax has agreed to discontinue the pending cases without any reduction to the assessment, and now therefore be it resolved that the common council hereby authorizes and directs the mayor, city assessor, corporation council, and or its special counsel to execute a stipulation of discontinuance and take any additional steps necessary to discontinue to the pending litigation.
Moved by Counselor Kelly, second by Counselor Ansel. Discussion?
In my entire tenure as a counselor, this is the first time I've ever seen a company back off on one of these. It's nice. I take my hat off to the Dollar General Corporation for deciding to go ahead and pay their taxes in full.
And I take my hat off to the council. As you know, we adopted a new strategy in pursuing these cases, and I think this is one more element of success that approach is working. So thank you all for your diligence in this. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Renzel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
No travel requests at this time. Are there any resolutions for initial consideration? Or any new business or additional council reports?
I just had two things. I had a constituent ask me, I guess, back in March, that there was some work done at the end of her driveway, and the end of her driveway was dug up along with part of her lawn, and she was told that they would be back to fill in. There's no one here from DPW now. That they'd be back to take care of it, and that was back in March, and she hasn't. She just asked me if I could follow up on that.
Sure, if you get the details to Beth, we'll inquire tomorrow. DPW's probably all working on the project, right?
And the other item is, once again, I guess over the weekend there was, because of weather and field conditions, there were games that had to be canceled, and it's actually kind of, there's still a lot of participants who think that it's the city's responsibility to come in and remove the water from the field and so on. But yet there are more and more of the teams that are recognizing the fact that ultimately the city will provide the quick dry and the chalking and so on, but ultimately the team is responsible for, or teams are responsible for taking care of the field and making it playable, getting
That's
it in.
right. That new protocol, this is the 4th year of that new protocol out. We did receive 27 tons of clay.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a volunteer day actually this Saturday where we're gonna get down on the field. So, and I know that's a number of the teams who are talking about it, and they're gonna be sending volunteers out as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with the timing of when the rain came to, and that the games were scheduled for early on early at 11 o'clock or noon on Sundays, and players didn't start showing up until 10 or 11, and the field, there were still puddles and so on, it wasn't playable.
So we do encourage anybody who'd like to volunteer to help, or any of the teams involved to make sure they participate in the volunteer day. We'll have a team that educates them how to maintain the field, show them where the supplies are, what the city would be able to do with them, et cetera, as well. Thank you. Any other new business or council reports? Any other closing public comments from the public? Please come forward. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kelly. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Insel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out, and we're gonna have a short press conference after this on the lead agency issue. You're obviously welcome to hang out or take a wish,
Where are you gonna convene?
probably right here.
Okay.
Scott produced that stuff.
Okay, that's right. Thank you. I'm glad of it today. Thanks for the meeting tomorrow, guys.
Signatures.
Oh, sure.
Who's your favorite part of tonight's council?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where am I signing?
You must be Brian's daughter.
Well, they'll come right out of there with you guys.
Do you want to put my title in? My title, Counselor Ward 1? Can you do that? Okay, all right.
Anyone else?
Did you have fun?
It was great.
Yeah. Whole new world, eh?
Yes, definitely.
Here you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
This is all from his friend's class?
Thank you.
Are you going to stay for the press conference?